one of the biggest challenges is just keeping people and goods moving. Almost 30% of the energy we use is for transportation, and almost all of that comes from oil. And we import about half that oil, to the tune of about $300 billion a year, and making America less secure because we depend on so many other nations for our energy. So the U.S. government and many private companies are working on a whole host of ways to get us off our dependence on oil. There are alternatives: biofuels made from plants, compressed and liquefied natural gas, hydrogen, and more. But another alternative, electricity, has been getting most of the attention. From Washington,
we set a goal of having 1 million electric vehicles on our roads by 2015.
To Hollywood.
This is the future, and it's attainable.
By one estimate, there could be more than 600,000 EVs on the road by 2014, putting the president's million EV goal within reach. Even so, that would be a tiny fraction of the roughly 140 million passenger cars currently on U.S. roads. There are now about half a dozen models available, and next year at least 5 more new EV models are expected to hit showrooms.
Chevrolet will produce an all-electric version of the Spark mini car.
EVs aren't cheap, priced from about $32,000 to $120,000. But there's a $7,500 federal tax credit to bring the price closer to comparable gasoline-fueled cars. And power companies say EVs are cheaper to run, about 1/5 the cost of filling up with gasoline. The EPA says cars like the Nissan Leaf and Chevy Volt are about half as carbon intensive as gasoline models, but they're not zero-emission vehicles, since most of the nation's electricity that's needed to charge the EV's battery still comes from fossil fuels. And there's still so-called range anxiety. While most EVs travel 100 miles or less on a single battery charge, cheaper gasoline-fueled cars can go 400 miles or more on a single tank. Consulting firm Deloitte recently found just 20% of U.S. drivers would consider buying an electric vehicle with a 100-mile range. You just saw some scenes from the new documentary, The Revenge of the Electric Car, opening this weekend in New York and Los Angeles. It's an inside look at the rebirth of the electric car. More on the movie a little later, including an interview with its director, Chris Payne. But with the movie coming out, we wondered whether the U.S. is on the cusp of an electric vehicle revolution, or could the entire EV industry run out of juice? And we went looking for some answers at electric car maker Tesla, which recently opened a new factory in California's Silicon Valley and is one of the companies featured in Revenge. Lee Patrick Sullivan has more in this Energy Now Spotlight.
It's show and tell at the Tesla factory in Fremont, California, as the electric vehicle maker unveils its newest car, the Model S.
This is the first car that will have over 300 miles of electric range. Okay. So that's, it's breaking new ground, and it's getting the range to a place that's directly comparable with gasoline cars.
Tesla co-founder J.B. Straubel shows off the luxury sedan, which sells for about $50,000, and that's after the $7,500 tax credit. That price gets you a battery with about a 160-mile range. The 300-mile model costs about $20,000 more.
This little door actually flips open.
It's Tesla's second vehicle after the more than $100,000 Roadster. But the Model S is the first to be built in the massive Tesla factory. This place is the size of 88 football fields and has the auto industry's only indoor test track. To revamp this former Toyota assembly plant into an all-electric vehicle factory, Tesla received about $400 million in low-interest loans from the U.S. Department of Energy.
How tough is it to start a car company from scratch, especially one that's not traditional?
Extremely hard. There's no question about that. It's an extremely hard activity. The tooling required, the investment, the years of engineering and validation testing, it's all very, very difficult.
How difficult? Well, in the past year, it's been a less-than-electric ride for independent EV companies. Fisker Automotive had several delays in the release of its extended range EV. Modec, a British electric truck maker, has declared bankruptcy, as has Indiana-based Think Automotive. And auto giants like General Motors and Nissan, which are starting to move into electric vehicles, are also off to a slow start. They've sold less than half as many Chevy Volts and Nissan Leafs than the companies predicted. Then there's the story of California-based Green Vehicles.
It's a three-wheel vehicle and it's an electric vehicle.
That's the company's president, Mike Ryan, being interviewed at the Detroit Auto Show by Gizmag.com. The maker of the three-wheeled electric commuter car was looking for a home base to build its factory. Enter Salinas, California.
Their idea was to basically incubate, if you will, a new kind of industry, and hopefully pulling some business down from the Silicon Valley into the Salinas Valley.
Jeff Mitchell covered the story for the Salinas Californian. The city of Salinas agreed to loan Green Vehicles $535,000 to build its EVs there.
We had these cool little electric cars running around town for a while. There was a lot of hoopla around it, and I think people were very excited at the idea that there was going to be some jobs.
But the jobs never came. There were no Green Vehicles built in Salinas, and 7 months after getting the money from the town, Green Vehicles declared bankruptcy.
This nondescript warehouse is listed as Green Vehicles' Salinas location, but there's no one here. And nothing left behind but a couple moving vans and one green vehicle.
Mitchell doesn't think the city will ever see that money again and worries this will make city leaders gun-shy about investing in companies in the future.
I think it was a very noble effort by the city to support this startup. The question is really whether at the end of the day the city did all of its due diligence in supporting the company.
And Tesla had its challenges as well. Despite selling 1,800 of its Roadster model, the company was running on fumes until the Department of Energy loans came through. It then raised another $600 million in private capital to get the Model S to the finish line.
What was that boardroom like?
Well, it's tense. You know, it takes a lot of capital to start a car company and to engineer and validate a vehicle design. It's not a cheap activity. So I think key to that was demonstrating progress at milestones along the way. It's not simply enough just to say trust us and we'll get to the end. We have to show that progress is there at every step.
With Tesla's hefty price tag, some Republican members of Congress criticized the Obama administration for loaning money to a company that makes cars for rich people. Straubel says Tesla's cars are expensive because electric vehicle technology is expensive. But he says the company is working to bring prices down.
Do you see a day when Tesla will have a $25,000 car?
Absolutely. Our vision is to drive down the price of electric vehicles and the technology that makes them possible just relentlessly. Everything we're doing internally is reducing the cost of battery packs, reducing the cost of motors.
Next year, there will be even more EVs hitting showrooms. Ford will have the Focus EV, and expect EVs from Smart Car and Mini. And with all the established automakers joining the EV market, Straubel says the door may be closing on EV startups.
As the industry matures and as more mainstream automakers get into building EVs, the barrier to new companies starting from scratch is going up. And people look at Tesla and it's kind of blazing a pathway for a startup car company, but it has not been an easy pathway.
Tesla's next vehicle will be called Model X, and it will be an all-electric SUV. And as of now, the company says it will not be applying for any more government loans. In Fremont, California, Lee Patrick Sullivan, Energy Now.
The well-established automakers are competing with Tesla, but they're also collaborating with the newcomer. Tesla currently makes battery packs and chargers for Daimler AG's Smart Car and Mercedes brands, and it's going to make the motor for Toyota's still-to-come electric RAV4 SUV. Tesla employs more than 1,000 people in the U.S. and is expanding.